Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us tonight for the info session for the annual town budget meeting. Just a reminder that the budget meeting is held at the West Bath School next Monday night. Certainly, if you're putting in the time and effort tonight, we'd love to see you there at that meeting as well. At this point, I'll ask you to please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A couple of quick highlights before we get started. We will run through each warrant article. Feel free to raise up, ask questions. We're here to provide all the information that you could need or you could want. Just as a starting point for the conversation tonight, the combined town and school budget, as proposed, is $6,774,075.11. That's a 3.01% increase over current budget. I do want to draw your attention to a slightly more concerning issue. Our contribution to the county is proposed at $1,214,760, which is a 13.21% increase. I would encourage all of you, Mr. Hennessy.
It's not good, but it's now down to 9.84.
Thank you for
that's
your
not good.
Encourage all of you to attend the county commissioners meeting where they approve the budget. The county increase is certainly what is going to drive tax increases here in town of West Bath.
May 7th is a public hearing.
May 7th, public hearing at the courthouse in
Yes.
the commissioners conference room.
I
First
believe
floor.
it's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. We'll make sure we get that on our website as well.
Double check the date and time though.
Assuming everything passes as presented, and before I heard of the county decrease, we were looking at a mill rate with this new budget somewhere in the 8.6 to 8.8 mill range. With those county reductions, it's possible that we could get that even lower. There's also, some fine tuning still to come from the revenue side and projecting where those revenues would be coming. So 8.6 to 8.8 is the mill rate we would anticipate. It's not a percent increase. It's what we think the mill rate would play out to be. It's currently 8.4. With that, we'll go ahead and read through each article. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand, ask those questions. My only ask is that we be respectful of each other. At the end of the day, we're all friends, neighbors, and community members. These sometimes get a little heated, and I would just ask you to remember that at the end of the day, we're all West Bath citizens. We all want the same outcome for our town. Are you odd or even?
I will be odd. Do we need to do one, or just the?
Sure.
Okay, so Article 1 is to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Note, all municipal budget articles are recommended by the Select Board and the Budget Advisory Committee unless otherwise noted. All other municipal articles are recommended by the Select Board unless otherwise noted.
And Joel Mary has offered to moderate the town meeting again this year. That's his third or fourth year. Assuming no questions on Article 1, we'll move to Article 2.
Article 2 is to see if the town will vote to maintain and exercise, if appropriate, its right to take alewives from the New Meadows Lake, consistent with the terms and conditions specified at the March 1977 town meeting.
Seeing no questions, we'll move to Article 3.
Article 3, to see if the town will vote to maintain a fishway on Winnegans Lake and to exercise its right to take alewives from Winnegans Lake in accordance with the terms and conditions specified at the June 1988 town meeting and an agreement with the City of Bath and the town of Phippsburg.
Municipal fiscal management, Article 4, to see if the town will vote to fix the date of October 15th, 2026, as the date when taxes shall become due and payable, and to charge a 7% interest rate, as allowed by 36 MRSA, Section 5054, the state maximum rate, on unpaid taxes to start after that date.
Article 5, to see if the town will vote to set the rate of interest to be paid by the town on refunds of taxes that are paid but later abated at 3%, as allowed by 36 MRSA Section 506-A, the state maximum rate less 4%, and to authorize such interest paid or abatements granted to be appropriated from overlay funds or, if necessary, from unassigned fund balance surplus.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to apply the unassigned fund balance, surplus, in excess of 12% of the total non-capital expenditures for fiscal year 2025-26, and not otherwise appropriated herein, to reduce the tax commitment for the ensuing fiscal year.
Article 7, to see if the town, in accordance with 36 MRSA Section 506, will vote to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes not yet committed and to pay no interest on any excess prepaid over the amount finally committed.
Article 8, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to sell and dispose of all tax-acquired property held by the town in accordance with 36 MRSA Section 943C.
Article 9, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to direct the treasurer to waive the foreclosure of tax lien mortgages pursuant to 36 MRSA Section 944 if it determines to be such course of action to be in the best interest of the town.
Article 10, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to apply for state, federal, and other grants on behalf of the town for municipal purposes, including, when necessary, the authority to execute contracts and related documents, and to accept conditions of approval, and to appropriate and expend such funds for authorized purposes as the select board deems in the best interest of the town during the ensuing fiscal year.
Article 11, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to accept or reject donations of personal property and or gifts of money to the various accounts of the town for the ensuing fiscal year and to appropriate these monies donated for specific purposes.
Would the, whoever donated the personal property and gifts of money be public knowledge?
It would have to be, yeah. We'd have to accept it in a public meeting, so yes.
Thank you.
Article 12, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to accept or reject conditional or unconditional gifts of real property, provided that no single gift will obligate the town to incur liabilities that total $1,000 or more per year, as determined by the select board.
Article 13, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to dispose of town-owned personal property with a value of over $500 and deemed by the select board to be surplus.
Article 14, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to annually set fees for return checks, copies of town ordinances and other documents, permit, license, and land use application fees, notary services, and various other fees.
Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to transfer funds from budget accounts that have unexpended balances at the end of fiscal year 25-26 to budget accounts that have overruns at the end of fiscal year 25-26, provided that any such transfer is not more than 10% of the funds appropriated under the municipal budget, and any such transfer is first approved at a properly called public meeting of the select board.
General government and administration. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $439,877 for wages and stipends. Last year's was $315,857. For the select board, the proposed budget is $15,112. Last year was $14,700. Town administrator, $86,352. Last year was $84,000. Tax collector treasurer, $62,865. Last year was $61,152. Town clerk, registrar of voters, $53,456. Last year was $56,628. Code enforcement officer, proposed budget is $59,758. Last year was $58,130. Fire chief, $15,790. Last year was $15,359. Health officer, $2,025. Last year was $1,970. Road commissioner, $12,000. Last year, $10,087. Animal control officer, $3,357. Last year was $3,265. Harbor master, $2,992. Last year was $2,909. Deputy fire chief, $4,490. Last year was $4,367. Fire captain 2, this year is $2,210. Last year was $2,150. Fire lieutenant, $1,171. Last year was $1,139. Fire department per diem is proposed to be $118,299. This is the first year that includes this position. That brings us to a total budget of $439,877. Last year was $315,857. The select board and budget committee recommendation is a 2.8% increase in wages. This article includes all positions except for firefighter incentive, ballot clerks, and planning board members. Fire department per diem is included this year, was under the fire department budget last year.
Did you intend to decrease the wages of the town clerk and registrar of voters, or is that a misprint?
That's a new hire, so they're two different people.
Okay.
Last year's, this year's are two different people.
Okay.
Before you proceed with 17, 18, and 17 and 18, I was checking some of the math at home. I didn't get around to Article 16, but you have some addition errors on your total from 17 and 18, if you want to check them.
She said there were some math errors in 17, 18, but we'll certainly get to those when we move to those articles. Any other questions on 16? Thank you for pointing out that error. When we get to Article 25, you'll see the fire per diems deducted from that article.
Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $189,016 for insurance and benefits. Last year was $180,878. Payroll taxes proposed 26, 27, $40,916. Last year was $36,378. Retirement proposed 26, 27, $31,000. Last year $30,500. Health insurance proposed 26, 27, $83,000. Last year $80,000. Workers' compensation proposed 26, 27, $8,000. Same as last year, $8,000 for 25, 26. Property and casualty insurance proposed 26, 27, $25,000. Last year $24,700. Volunteer firefighter insurance proposed 26, 27, $1,100. Last year $1,000. For a total proposed 26, 27 of $189,016 compared to last year 25, 26, $180,878.
And this is the one, you said there was a math error?
Yeah, it's under total for the previous year. we add that,
179,
as well as the one
578.
on, 17 and 18, previous year total, for comparison of total. I don't know how much the total factor in, but to what you do. And I didn't get to check it out.
Yeah, so the prior year, you're correct, should add up to 185.78, not 878.
So that's something that we can.
18, I got a total for last year of 180,685.
The proposed 26, 27 is correct.
That's all of that.
Thank you for catching that.
Thank you very much for catching that. Here we go. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $179,485 for town administration expenses. Last year was $186,385. Proposed budget for office expenses is $59,685. That's a decrease from last year's $69,385. Computer and technology will stay flat with $49,500. Assessing will be reduced $36,500. Last year was $37,700. Select board contingency will remain flat at $10,000. Voting will be $2,700, an increase from last year of $2,500. Office cleaning is reduced to $6,100. Year before was $6,500. Building maintenance is $15,000. Year before was $13,100. That brings us to a total of $179,485, which is reduced from last year of $186,385.
I had some questions on that section.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your office expense, you expect to drop $9,700, but computer technology, I assume that includes all of your computers, printers, software replacement, everything with the computer technology. And under that, I would like to know, on your software accounting technology, what you use.
That's Trio. Trio, we'll be moving Trio.
What is that?
Trio.
Trio.
TRIO, it's a specific municipal program.
Oh, I figured that, yeah. So that includes the software then, that's everything, the computer related. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. On to 18.
Article 19, to see if the town will vote to appropriate all dog licensing fees and penalties collected during fiscal year 26-27, with the exception of the recording fee that must be retained by the municipal clerk pursuant to state law as additional payment to the animal control officer for services rendered to the town.
Didn't we just discuss this budget?
That was payroll,
That's
this
just
is
payroll, yeah.
So
budget.
then this would be added to that,
Yeah.
in addition to what we've already discussed.
Yeah.
Do we have any numbers for that? I mean, I know it ebbs and
Not a
flows.
lot.
Not a lot.
Depends on the late fees.
Okay,
All depends how many people are late. It's 25 per dog. But other than that, I think he gets $2 per dog
okay. Where does the money normally go?
to him.
It's gone here as long as I've been doing town warrants.
Okay, thank you.
Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $15,000 for legal fees. Last year was $20,000.
Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $2,000 for general assistance. Last year was $2,000.
Public Works Department. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $830,500 for public works. Last year's total was $859,000. Proposed budget for 2026-27 for general roads is $486,000. Last year was $292,500. Birch Point Road reconstruction is complete, so there will be no line item for that this year. Last year was $265,000. The salt shed will remain flat with a budget of $2,000. Streetlights will remain flat with a budget of $2,000. Snow removal will increase to $341,500, up from $297,000. That brings us to a total of $830,500, which is a reduction from last year, which was $859,000.
Could I ask on the general roads and snow removal, is that, how do you come up with those numbers? Is it on anticipated weather or?
So the snow removal is contracted, so it went out to bid in February or March, and so this is the bid price for the new year.
And a lot of that is because of the fuel increases and tire
Exactly.
increases and
Yep.
all.
And it's a new contract, the 3-year contract we had just expired, so this is a new contract, so yes. In terms of general roads, you'll notice a fairly significant increase in that. 285,000 of that is to pave the full length of the hill road. It's been 11, 12 years since
Pave
that
what?
road, the hill road. It's been 11 or 12 years since it has been paved, and it's starting to break up and in need of repairs, so the road commissioner would like to be able to repave that road in this budget.
Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $16,600 for sanitation. Last year was $16,600. Proposed 26-27 roadside recycling, $11,600. 25-26 also $11,600. Hazardous waste and composting, $5,000 proposed for 26-27, $5,000 also for 25-26, for a proposed total of $16,600, which is the same as last year.
Article 24, to see if the town will vote to transfer all remaining but unexpended funds at the end of fiscal year 2025-26 from Public Works Department to Public Works Department Capital Fund for future capital expenditures.
Sorry about that. I'll take credit.
Fire Department, Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $271,507 for protection. Per diem, $118,299 is now included with Article 16. Last year, $339,922. Proposed 2026-2027, $100,000 for ambulance service. 2025-26 ambulance service was $100,000. Hydrants, $44,200. 26-27 for 25-26, $44,200. Fire Department operations, proposed 26-27, $90,117. 25-26, $84,235. Fire Department incentive, proposed 26-27, $33,137. 25-26, $27,176. Fire Department per diem for 26-27 is included in Article 16. For 25-26, it was $60,890. Animal control, proposed 26-27, $4,053. 25-26 was $3,328. For a total proposed 26-27, $271,507. 25-26 was $339,922.
Article 26, to see if the town will vote to transfer all remaining but unexpended funds at the end of fiscal year 2025-26 from Fire Department operations to Fire Department Capital Fund for future capital building, vehicle, and/or equipment expenditures.
Article 27, community agencies and organizations. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following as donations to community agencies. Bath Senior citizens, proposed 26, 27, $950, 25, 26, $950. Bath Area Food Bank, proposed 26, 27, $4,000, 25, 26, $2,000. Spectrum Generations, proposed 26, 27, $2,011, 25, 26, $1,915. Sweetser, proposed 26, 27, $2,300, 25, 26, $2,292. New Hope for Women, proposed 26, 27, $820, 25, 26, $820, for a total proposed of $10,081 versus 25, 26, $7,977.
Article 28, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $49,872 for library funding. Last year was $44,517.
Just to be clear, that would be a contribution to the patent-free library.
I was wondering where the West Bath Library was. Like, did I miss that? Okay.
Is that wording adequate with the intent? I'm concerned because of prior years having some concerns that way. Is it possible to amend from the floor?
We are waiting on an answer from that from our attorney.
Okay.
If so, it would have to come from the floor at council.
Okay, thank you.
Article 29, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 for planning board stipends. Last year was $3,000.
Waterways and harbors. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $69,050 for harbors and waterways. Last year was $7,500. The breakdown on that is for the shellfish warden contract for 2026-27 is $5,000. The year before was $5,500. For harbor master, the proposed budget is $1,950. Last year was $2,000. So the total is $6,950, which is down from last year with $7,500.
Excuse me, why is that less, just out of curiosity?
There's a slight anticipated savings. There's a slight anticipated savings in fuel for the harbor master.
So at Article 30 is, can you explain the difference between the difference for the harbor master fees between Article 16 and, so is one, is Article 30, that's all fuel or something?
Article
All
16
expenses.
is payroll. So this is for boat registration,
Insurance,
insurance,
supplies,
Do we
hot dogs
have
that go
both?
up the road.
for the harbor master? No, we pay for his registration and insurance, because he uses his own boat.
And fuel?
Hmm?
We don't pay for his fuel?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Let's see, Article 31. Shall an ordinance entitled 2026 Amendments to the Town of West Bath Land Use Ordinance be amended? Proposed changes can be found on the website or printed on request.
Would this be the time to bring up any questions on the land use?
Yeah, we do have some members of the planning board here. I'm sure they would happily answer any questions if they're.
Maybe somebody could just give a little overview of how the process worked and what was involved.
Sherry, you want to speak to that?
Sorry, I was looking at something. Did you talk about the planning board?
Just the process for updating the,
Yeah, so,
and how that went.
yep, Jerry Mitchell, planning board member. So over the last 3 years, slowly we've worked on revamping the ordinance, trying to clean up a bunch of language. We changed the land use chart to, so Jonathan, the codes officer, can approve some items, and it's pretty clear, like other towns, what John can approve and what has to go through the planning board. Mainly just cleaned up a lot of,
Redundancy.
a lot of language that nobody can understand over the years. And trying to make things just more streamlined as far as food trucks and businesses coming to West Bath, and just try to make it simpler, really. The town hired a consultant, Max Johnson, to come in and help us for the last year or so. He was a great help. And so he's gone around to different towns and helped them revamp their ordinances. So the town adopted a more streamlined approach as far as how the outlining goes. It's modeled after chapter 1000 that DEP uses. So it's pretty straight, kind of a little bit more straightforward, easy to read for all of us.
Max did prepare a nice summary of all the changes. There is a copy of it up there, if you can grab it on your way in, but it goes through each section, kind of highlights what those changes were. And it has been reviewed by the town attorney who was signed off on the recommendations.
I have a slight housekeeping announcement. There is a white Subaru parked in the roadway over here. So if that's yours, if it could be moved, there is traffic that goes through there.
Any other questions on 31?
So we'll move on to long-term capital improvement fund. Article 32 is to see if the town will vote to transfer up to $200,000 from the long-term capital improvement fund reserve account in order to replace the school fence and or cover town expenses from July to August if needed.
Just question, what kind of a fence do they have out there?
So I didn't hear the question.
What kind of fence? There is a chain link fence over part of it, Emily, is that true?
So currently, there's no fencing along the playground side of the school playground. There's chain link on the front side of that borders the
Chain
road.
link.
Mhm. But what we are hoping to be able to do is to put up both a visual and physical barrier along the back side of the playground between us and a neighboring property, and then to do chain link bordering the playground and for the play area for students. And so we have some quotes, but we need to go out to bid, so that's why it's
Drive
not.
out there sometime.
What's that?
I said I have to drive out there sometime, take a look. Thank you.
What are the quotes?
They range from 70 to 150.
And just to clarify the other piece of that where we would use it to cover expenses for July and August, that's to avoid going to the bank and getting a tax anticipation note, as we've had to do in the past. Basically, we'd be borrowing the money from ourselves, paying it back once we get the October 15th deadlines for payment of taxes. Once that tax revenue comes in, we would, whatever we took out of there, we put back in. Saves us paying the interest on getting a note.
Article 33, to see if the town will vote to give all money received from the state of Maine for snowmobile registrations to the Over the Hill ATV Club.
Article 34, to see if the town will vote to adopt a resolution and order regarding a portion of the boundary between the town of West Bath and the city of Bath. A copy of the ordinance, a copy of the order is attached to this warrant. So should we read through that? All right, so I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Town of West Bath. Resolution and order regarding a portion of the boundary between the town of West Bath and the city of Bath, passed by the West Bath Town Meeting on May 4th, 2026, we would hope. Whereas a question has arisen regarding the location of the boundary line between the town of West Bath and the city of Bath, running from Old Brunswick Road to Old County Road, the subject boundary line. Whereas a preambulation of the subject boundary line was held by the town of West Bath and city of Bath on to be determined. Whereas officials of the town of West Bath and the city of Bath have jointly commissioned an independent surveyor to determine the location of subject boundary line as established by the following acts of the Maine legislature. Acts and resolves passed by the 24th legislature, 1844, chapter 133. An act to divide the town of Bath and to incorporate the southwesterly part thereof into a town by the name of West Bath. Acts and resolves passed by the 34th legislature, 1855, chapter 530. An act to set off certain lands from West Bath and annex the same to the city of Bath. Whereas the subject boundary line is described in said acts as thence southeasterly by south side of said new road to the west side of Wiskeg West Branch at high water mark Thence southerly by a straight line to the middle of Wiskeg Stream, where the bridge near Standish Mill crosses the same. Thence southerly by the middle of said stream and by the middle of Donnell's Pond. Whereas a result of the joint municipal effort, a survey entitled "A Survey of a Portion of the Town Line Between Bath and West Bath, running southerly from Old Bath Road to the former Western Avenue, the Martinson Survey Map," has been prepared by surveyor Bruce W. Martinson as attached and is attached to the resolution in order in preliminary form. Now therefore, the Town of West Bath Town Meeting hereby finds, resolves, and orders as follows. The subject boundary line is located where depicted on the Martinson survey map, and the subject boundary line as depicted thereon shall be treated as the effective boundary line for all municipal purposes unless and until there is a superseding act of the Maine legislature providing otherwise. Once surveyed and recorded, the Martinson survey will constitute a qualifying survey plan pursuant to 30A MRSA, section 2851, 7C. The select board is hereby authorized and directed to request finalization, certification, and recording of the Martinson survey map, to authorize minor amendments to said map that do not materially deviate from the boundary line depicted in the attached, and to take all other actions necessary to facilitate the final determination of the boundary line, and to work with the city of Bath to set boundary monuments in accordance with the survey, and to otherwise facilitate the municipality's agreement on the boundary pursuant to 30A MRS section 2851.
Good job.
Everybody clear?
Any questions?
Crystal.
I guess the point to take away is we're talking a matter of feet. And we're talking about the boundary that is at the northeast corner, shifting a few, am I not right?
I'm just listening.
I'm trying to, or I'm not facing the right direction. I'm pretty sure it's the northeast corner. It's the monument where Old Brunswick Road crosses. And really, the simplistic reason for all of this is no one can tell us where the high water mark was in Wiskeg Stream in 1842.
Why not?
Because it's changed. The stream does not follow the same. We asked.
There's also a problem, I think, with the bridge or the road, wherever it was, so it was not ascertainable where that spot was.
Yes. I think when they rebuilt the Old Brunswick Road, they buried the original monument.
Yes, that's the theory.
The
Or somebody moved it.
southeast point does not change.
As long as our taxes don't go up,
Correct.
we don't care.
It's only been, what, 11, 12 years that this problem has been worked on.
All right, we'll shift gears and move on to the school. Yeah.
I had a general question about these, school board director's recommendations for West Bath School. Shall I ask them after you've read this whole thing, or before?
As they come up, feel free to ask them
No, it's
specific to.
general to all of them.
Why don't we run through all of them and see if the discussion answers your questions, and then we'll give you a chance to run through any remaining questions. That work? Great. Article 35. To see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for regular instruction. School board of directors recommends $2,880,462.74. This article covers salaries and benefits for regular education teachers and support personnel, as well as classroom supplies, equipment, books, and repairs for grades K through 5. This article also includes the contracted service for pre-kindergarten students and tuition costs for students in grades 6 through 12. Article 36, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for special education. The school board of directors recommends $1,109,492.50. $953.89. This article provides salaries and benefits for special education teachers and support personnel, K through 12 program tuition, staffing, out-of-district placement, and professional services.
How many students are classified as benefiting from special education funding?
I will defer to the school board and superintendent.
Currently, there are 40.
Article 37, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for career and technical education. School board of directors recommends $0. Career and technical education will be provided through RSU 1 and is included in the tuition rates. Article 38, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for other instruction. The school board of directors recommends $4,500. This article includes costs to provide students with learning experiences not included under programs. Article 39, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for student and staff support. The school board of directors recommends $377,911.84. This article covers salaries and benefits for guidance, health, technology, improvement of instruction, staff development, library, and student assessment. Article 40, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for system administration. The school board of directors recommends $107,985.80. This article provides salaries and benefit of the office of the superintendent. It also covers expenses for the school board of directors, financial software, insurance, advertising, dues and fees, legal fees, and auditing expenses. Article 41, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for school administration. The school board of directors recommends $213,147.88. This article includes salaries and benefits for the principal and support staff. It includes equipment, supplies, dues and fees, and contracted services. Article 42, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for transportation. The school board of directors recommends $195,634.96. This article covers expenses for transporting students in grades K through 12 to and from school. Article 43, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for facilities maintenance. The school board of directors recommends $253,150. This article covers expenses for facilities operations and contracted services for the West Bath School and grounds.
Is the fence included in that, or is the fence
No.
gonna be separate?
So the fence is separate.
Okay.
Article 44, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for debt service and other commitments. The school board of directors recommends $0. There is no current outstanding indebtedness related to the West Bath School.
Yay.
Article 45, to see what sum the town will authorize the school board of directors to expend for other expenditures, including food service. School board of directors recommends $50,000. This article covers expenses related to the food service program. 46. Article 46, to see what sum the town will appropriate for the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, and to see what sum the town will raise and assess as the municipality's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in accordance with the Maine Revised Statutes, Article 20A, Section 15688. The School Board of Directors recommends a total appropriation of $3,287,167.52. And the School Board of Directors recommends the total raised being $2,849,607.52. Steve?
How much state funding is provided, do you expect this year for the West Bath educational system?
Check me if it's changed, but $437,560. Which is a mere portion of our total cost. However, that is up by $102,000 from what we received last
Say that again?
year. It is an increase of $102,000, almost $103,000 of what we received last year. Now keep in mind, West Bath is considered a minimum receiver school. So that means we're not eligible for any state subsidy except for 50% of what we paid for special education costs 2 years ago. Mr. Anderson.
Is there any lost hope for changing in Augusta of the funding package?
There is not.
There was a bill in front of the legislature. Thankfully, their attempt to fix it, they took out some language that would have actually ended up hurting West Bath with it.
And that's how that would help us.
Yeah.
Appreciate the thought, Travis.
Article 47. Article 47 requires a written ballot. To see what sum the town will raise and appropriate in additional local funds, the School Board of Directors recommends $1,905,579.59, which exceeds the state's Essential Programs and Services model, Essential Programs and Services allocation model by, the School Board of Directors recommends $1,855,579.59 as required to fund the budget recommended by the School Board of Directors. The School Board of Directors recommends $1,905,579.59 for additional local funds and gives the following reasons for exceeding the state's Essential Programs and Services funding model by $1,855,579.59. The additional local funds represent local costs to support school budget programs and services that are not included in the state's funding model, including costs for transportation and special education services. The additional local funds are those locally raised funds over and above the town's local contribution to the total cost of funding public education for pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act that'll help to achieve the budget for educational programs. That all is to explain that we're a minimum receiver and we don't get a significant amount of state subsidy. Summary, total operating budget. Article 48. To see what sum the town will authorize the School Board of Directors to expend for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027 for the school administrative unit's contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-kindergarten to grade 12 as described in the Essential Programs and Services Funding Act, local funds for non-state funded school construction debt service, of which we have none, Additional local funds for school purposes under the Maine Revised Statutes, Title 20A, Section 15690, undesignated fund balances, tuition receipts, state subsidy, and other receipts for the support of schools. The school board of directors recommends $5,192,742.11. This article is a summary article and approves expenditures of the proposed budget of $5,192,747.11. This article authorizes the school board of directors to spend revenues on the amounts appropriated in the previous articles. This article does not raise any additional money. The estimated revenue sources are local contribution, $2,849,607.52. Additional local contribution, $1,905,579.59. EPS state subsidy of $437,560 for a total of $5,192,747.11. Article 49. Shall the school board of directors be authorized to transfer amounts exceeding 5% of the total appropriation for any cost center to another cost center or among other cost centers for the 2026-2027 fiscal year, provided that transfers shall not be permitted to increase the authorized local school budget. Article 49. In addition to the amount of Article 48, the school board of directors be authorized to accept and expend any state, federal, or other grants, aid, and receipts during the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027 for school purposes, provided that such grants, aid, and receipts do not require the expenditure of other local funds not previously appropriated. The school board of directors recommends a yes vote. Article 51. In the event that the town receives more state education subsidy than the amount included in this budget, shall the school board of directors be authorized to use all or part of the additional state subsidy to increase expenditures for school purposes in cost center categories approved by the school board of directors, increase the allocation of finances in a reserve fund approved by the school board of directors, and/or decrease the local cost share expectation as defined in Title 20A, Section 15671A1B for local property taxpayers for funding public education as approved by the school board of directors. The school board of directors recommends a yes vote.
Not on this question, but to ask a question before we flee. What is the total town valuation for tax purposes, and how much has it increased this past year, and was all that due to new construction?
We don't have those figures yet. That's based on last year's.
This is based on last year's. I don't know that we have that answer for you, do we?
We don't, he's working on
Still
it.
working on the pickups.
Can you wave a hand at a
I
guess?
did today.
And what was your guess?
Oh, I didn't wave my hand at it, no.
Oh, you waved your hand at the person.
The assessor, yeah.
Okay.
Get back to the
No.
school questions, yeah.
I'm holding here a few pages from the 2023, comparative 2022, audited statements of net position income from your audit, they are audited. And my question is, in the absence of reports for 24 and 25, without having that kind of information available to the public, they're not ready, and I believe some of the problem is the school board hold up on reporting as well.
I don't think that is accurate. I think most municipalities, if not all, are significantly behind on audits, and it's a lack of is a shortage of certified public accountants that are holding up audits.
My question is, in the absence of more recent financial information audited for the town of West Bath, is it justifiable to approve any kind of major increases without audited information? For the school, or
State and federal law require we pay for our students to be educated.
whatever?
State and federal law requires that we pay for our students' education.
I understand that.
And
No,
I
I'm not
will
saying
again
not
point
to
out
pay
that our
for it.
total combined budget is up 3% over last year. With
I mean, I
inflation,
guess
what is
my
that now? I
feeling-
don't think that's extravagant.
The board is, what they're recommending, the school board is recommending all of these items. And how much over last year is that, and what, I guess, I don't know what backup information is.
Yeah, the school's total proposed budget is up 6.16% over last year. And the amount that taxpayers are being asked to contribute is up 4.36%
Over,
prior year.
I would have gone to the others.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but without the final audit figures, we can't
Yeah.
bring forward any unexpended. So there might be money that is hanging out that we can't transfer over until the final audit. So maybe we'll get a windfall in a couple of years.
We feel your pain.
There's no carryover.
Thank you.
We feel your pain.
Well.
And I call them often.
With all of that being said, that last tax increase was horrendous. And I think it impacted a lot of people in the community in a very nasty way. So you talk about an 8% increase in mill rate, that means higher taxes and over and above what we already have. And when will that occur? Is this coming year? Will this?
We'll finalize what is approved at town meeting, so we know what that final number is. We'll finalize our pickups and valuation. We'll finalize, is our projected revenue accurate? We made those projections now, we still have a few months left in the year. People are buying cars, and excise tax is helping us out. And then we'll go to commitment and set that tax rate firmly, probably in August, if not September.
And that, taxes, it's taxes, but, yeah, that, the assessment done in 2020, 2021 was based on, from what I read, that was based on what houses were selling for, the property was selling for at the time.
It was a full market revaluation.
And it
it
had
had
not
been,
been,
what,
and no assessment had been done since 2007, do I remember that?
It had been, I'm looking at it now, and I was on the board at the time, but I think it had been 12 years since our last rebuild.
More than 10.
More than 10.
Because that's the state standard is 10 years.
Correct.
So all of that additional revenue to the town then, from those large increases in taxes, should have had a major impact on the financial condition of the town, which we can't see because we don't have 24 or 25 statements, or even statements, any statements.
We all share your frustration. If those come in before commitment, then we can factor those into commitment this year. But again, the town and school budget combined is up 3.01%. What is driving our tax increase is the county up somewhere between 9 and 13%. And up over 40% in the last 40 years and up 93% in the last decade.
I hope you've done that kind of meeting too. So, but inflation is impacting everything, it's runaway inflation. I guess my feeling is to, and I assume the town does this, to try to conceive as conservative as they can. But maybe the school isn't.
Well, I will speak to the
I don't
school.
agree with that position.
I did
served
ex-
on the school board for a decade, so,
You know,
I do
that's
not
what it is.
believe that there's an ounce of fat in either the town or the school budget. We have cut everything that can be cut. Okay?
The budget committee also reviewed both budgets and voted to recommend both budgets, the school and town.
There's very little in the school budget that's actually discretionary. A lot is a mandate from state level.
Already established.
Yeah, so, when you're talking about amounts that make a difference, there's not much that, as a municipality, we have local control over.
I guess my thinking is all the additional revenue that came in was spoken for, I mean, the town, I haven't had a chance to really look at the reporting. You didn't have huge liabilities.
I'm
in
sorry,
everything
can you
else.
speak up?
I said, well, I haven't had a chance to really look at some of the audited financial statements. I guess my question is, when we had to pay out all these extra taxes, that's a big influx.
Excuse me, I still can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. My thinking is, when we received this tremendous increase in taxes, it was a lot of money coming into the town. And that should have made a difference. I don't know if there was any town debt at the time, if they had, there was none.
What influx of money are you referring to?
I'm sorry?
What influx of money are you referring to?
The additional taxes from the big tax increases that we had from the assessment.
That was just 1 year ago, right?
Well, the assessment was in '21 and the tax,
The mill rate dropped.
the mill rate
Values
dropped.
went up, the mill rate dropped. Not everybody's taxes went up. It was a reevaluation, so some went up, some were reduced.
Well, I got hit hard. But
Yeah.
now there's going to be an additional increase this year.
And the county budget has gone up $1 million over the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Their $10 million budget is now 14.
Yeah,
It's a small
I'm
increase.
not familiar with the accounting for the county, but I'll get further.
And also, as a municipality, we're not immune from the same increases that we're seeing across the board. Like, the same increase that I'm filling up my personal vehicle with is filling up the fire trucks, and the same electricity
Yeah.
that powers the buildings.
No,
We have to absorb all of those costs as
that's
well.
understandable, everything is going up.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Yes.
We are getting
Fossil
a-
fuels, everything.
On our electric bill, all town buildings are getting 25% off
Yes, but
with the
it's
new,
Yeah, I think it's 20.
not reflected in this budget, though.
Doesn't
But
start-
we will
doesn't
be
start
going
with
forward.
solar farms built and online.
Yes.
John answered all my questions, thank you.
On that note, do we have any updates on our audits and where they stand?
June 24th will be in June, and 25 will be quickly after that. I'll be on the heels.
So the 2024 budget, we should have at June.
All of the COVID funds that were dispersed really slowed down municipal audits. I guess part of that is we didn't get a ton of that money, but the requirements for audits have gotten much more cumbersome.
I understand from someone in the state level that this is across the state again,
Yep.
that they're behind 2 years in municipal accounting.
Yep.
And some of that due to no accounting professionals in the state.
Yep.
I worked in public accounting, so I know the truth.
I can get back in the ring. Any other questions on any of the warrant articles? I do, while I have you captive, want to let everyone know that the town of West Bath does have a new texting notification system. Feel free, this is also on the website, if you'd like to join, you can get West Bath specific text alerts. Text West Bath to 91896.
What kind of alerts
warrants are we talking about?
Tonight's
Well, you
meeting,
would have gotten a notification that we were meeting tonight, or the planning board meeting, or, this is new, so we're gonna build it out, but it could be that, there's a tree across the road on Hill Road, and so we send out a notification.
There is?
No, not until after we pave it.
People can't respond to it,
No.
right? Okay.
But you
It's
can
not a
sign,
group chat.
Rely on.
but we can build it out so that you can sign up for specific text you want to receive. So at some point, if the library wanted to send a text to West Bath residents and you were signed up for that, you would get it. Or Saginaw County, or the school, or, yeah, we've struggled, frankly, with communication for a while, and so we're giving this a shot and encourage folks to sign up. I think I've gotten 3 recently that I signed up for, so. Again, West Bath to 91896.
and you will not get a text at 5 o'clock in the morning.
You better not be getting drunk dialing either.
I've received that request.
And opting out was very easy.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate the support. Again, town meeting scheduled for 6 p.m. next Monday at the West Bath School. Hope to see you all there. Thank you. Good night, everyone.